This is another one of Fitness Blunder's 1,000 calorie workouts. In this workout, we're going to be starting off with a warm-up, then we're going to go through a HIIT routine, strength training routine, a kickboxing portion, a core and cardio combination, and then we're going to finish it off with a cool down and stretch. Now, though this workout doesn't require any equipment for the most part, there are a couple of sections where you're going to need dumbbells, an optional bench, and an optional exercise mat. Now with that said, let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up. We're going to be doing 10 different exercises for 30 seconds each, and you're not going to need any equipment. Our first one is going to be a high knee march. Let's go ahead and start up, slowly driving those knees nice and high, slowly stepping back and forth from left to right foot, making sure you're trying to really focus on that range of motion, opening that hip up, and starting to warm up those muscles. Now if you need to, start with a limited range of motion to kind of slowly build yourself into this, but always be constantly trying to push a little bit more, trying to move a little bit faster to try to warm those muscles up. Now I've got just a few seconds left, then we're going to move to a torso circle. And go ahead and switch, keep that back nice and flat, lean straight over forward, get that chest parallel to the ground, make a nice big circle around, all the way stretching behind you, then back down flat, parallel to the ground, and reverse that direction of that circle, back around the opposite way. Just keep alternating back and forth. Make sure you're keeping that back nice and straight. You're just rolling around those hips and that lower torso, making sure that back stays completely flat the entire time. We're going to be moving on to a toe touch kick next. And switch. One leg comes up, reaching out with that opposite hand to foot, so left hand, right foot, right hand, left foot. Just alternating back and forth, slowly kicking that leg up. Again, this is just a warm-up, so don't worry about moving really fast or trying to get a really good stretch on it. You just want to slowly start working into that range of motion more and more. Just about 10 seconds left. Keep it going. Make sure you're keeping those lungs open, breathing normally. Moving on to a boxer shuffle next. And switch it. Get those feet moving. Nice even pace. You don't want to be going too fast, but you do want to focus on trying to get your heart rate up a little bit more, trying to get your breathing rate up a little bit more, warming up that core temperature. Just keep those feet moving. Try to stay up in the ball of your foot. Try not to let those heels touch. You should feel those calves starting to warm up, those legs starting to warm up. Got about 5 seconds left, just a little bit longer, and then we're going to switch to a torso rotation. And go ahead and switch. So instead of doing a circle with that torso, you're just going to rotate left to right. As you rotate those shoulders to the right, you want to kind of kick your hips to the left. So you're actually trying to rotate them in opposite directions. Your hips shouldn't really look like they're moving much, but they shouldn't go in the same direction as those shoulders. So if you roll your shoulders to the left, those hips shouldn't follow along. They should actually stay stationary or go the opposite direction to really stretch that torso, trying to warm up those core muscles. We're moving to a nice big arm circle next. And switch it. Nice big circle with those arms. Try to get as much range of motion out of that shoulder as you can. Alternating the direction of that circle every single time you come back down to the bottom. Just kind of swinging those arms back and forth, but always keeping them under control. Relatively slow motion. You don't want to just kick those arms around uncontrolled. You want to make sure you have that chest, back, and shoulder constantly contracted, slowly pushing around that circle, getting as much range of motion as you can. We're almost done, and we're going to switch off to up and overs. And switch it. Nice quick motion with those feet, one leg at a time. Hop that knee up and out, and then hop it back into the center. Then do the same thing on the opposite side, just alternating back and forth. Nice quick motion. Should start bringing that heart rate up a little bit more. Should start bringing that core temperature up a little bit more. Should notice you're starting to breathe a little bit heavier as well. Just keep it going. You got 10 more seconds to go. Make sure you have those core muscles and arms contracted as well, getting a little extra calorie burn out of it, getting that heart rate up a little bit more. We've got deep squats coming up next. And start them up. This is just body weight, dropping those hips down as low as is comfortable and then standing right back up again. Take your time. This is a really slow motion on the way down, slow motion on the way back up. Only go as low as is comfortable on those hips and those knees, but constantly trying to push just a little bit further, trying to warm up those knees and those hips. You can let that lower back round a little tiny bit, but again, it's always a good idea to try to practice nice clean form by keeping that back flat. Now I've got walk down push-ups coming up next. Go ahead and switch it. Hands go down to those feet, walking out with those hands. Drop down into a push-up, then walk back up with those hands. Come up to a full standing position and start over again. Slowly walking back out. Nice full push-up. If you need to, drop onto those knees and do your push-up off your knees, but preferably do as many as you can with a full push-up. Just about 5 seconds left, then we're going to switch to just regular jumping jacks. And go ahead and switch it, stand back up. Get those arms and legs going, nice quick motion. Keep those arms and legs completely rigid. Make sure that shoulder and hip joint is completely solid. Never let those arms and legs just kind of flail around. You don't want to have them out of control. You want to make sure that everything is always under control. Everything's always really nice and solid to protect those joints. Just keep those lungs open. You should be feeling nice and warm by now. That heart rate should be getting up. That core temperature should be increasing. We only have a couple seconds left. And that's it. Good job. That was the end of our warm-up. So let's go ahead and get ready for our HIIT routine, which is going to be a Tabata style of 20 seconds on and 10 seconds off. We're going to have 10 exercises to go through in groups of 2, and we're not going to need any equipment for any of these exercises. Our first 2 exercises are going to be a push-up with an oblique knee and a squat jack. So let's go ahead and get ready. Starting off with that push-up with the oblique knee, and start up. Nice full push-up. Pull that knee up and out to the side, right back down to that push-up, and then that opposite knee comes up and out to the side. So feel like you're trying to get that knee up towards that elbow. So you're actually trying to get it as high as you possibly can, but try not to really rotate those hips too much. Just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Go ahead and stand back up. We've got squat jacks next. And start them up. Drop down nice and low. Keep those hips as low as you can. Hopping those feet in and out. Trying to get them to at least shoulder width, preferably even wider than that, but moving them as quickly as you possibly can. Trying to stay down as low as you can the entire time. Just keep those lungs open. We got 5 more seconds to go. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go ahead and do a push-up with the oblique knee again. 5 more seconds till we start. And begin. Nice full push-up. Pull one knee up out to the side. Another push-up. That opposite knee does the same thing. Just keep alternating back and forth. Nice big full range of motion on that push-up. Get that chest down towards the ground as low as you possibly can. Keeping a nice flat back the entire time. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Another 10 seconds break, and then we're going to do another round of those squat jacks. And start them up. Drop down nice and low. Again, try to get those feet out at least to shoulder width, preferably a lot wider than that, and then snapping those feet back together nice and close. Just keep that motion moving as quickly as you possibly can, keeping those hips as low as you can the entire time. 5 more seconds. I know those legs are burning. Just keep pushing through it. And let it relax. 10 seconds break, and then we've got another round, our last round of the push-ups with the oblique knee. And start them up. Nice full push-up. Pull that knee up and out to the side. Just keep it going, alternating back and forth. Try to get as full and a clean a motion as you possibly can. This is our last round, so put 100% effort into it. Just 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Go and hop back up. Get ready for that last round of those squat jacks. 5 more seconds. And drop down. Get those feet moving nice and quick. I know those legs are going to be burning like crazy, but push through it. Get the entire 20 seconds done without stopping, keeping those hips as low as you possibly can the entire time. Keep those lungs open. Try not to think about how bad those legs are burning. You only have a few seconds left. Keep pushing it. And let it relax. Very good job. I know those legs are burning like crazy, so take a nice long deserved rest. And let's go ahead and get ready for our next 2 exercises. We are going to be doing a side oblique raise, alternating back and forth, as well as a star jump. I know you're not really looking forward to that star jump, but make sure you're pushing through these as hard as you can. Remember, we're trying to burn 1,000 calories here, so push as hard as possible. Starting off with that side oblique raise, go ahead and drop down on the ground on that elbow and those feet. Pull those hips up off the ground as high as you can. Then alternate over to the other side, rolling over to the other side, and do the same exact motion. Lift that hip up, then roll back to the opposite side. Make sure you never actually let those hips touch the ground. So the entire time you're switching from a side plank to a regular plank to a side plank on the opposite side. And on each side plank, make sure you do that side hip raise. All right, take a little bit of a break here. We're going to be doing our star jump next. Few seconds. And start up. Nice deep squat, and then jump as hard as you possibly can, exploding, getting those legs and arms out as far away from each other as you possibly can. As soon as you land back down, go right back into that squat, nice and deep, and then jump as hard as you possibly can again, getting those arms and legs back out. Just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. That's our first round down of both of those exercises. Let's go ahead and start a round number 2 with a side oblique raises. Got 3 seconds left. And start them up. Nice side hip raise, roll over to the other side, another side hip raise, and roll back. Make sure you're keeping those core muscles nice and tight, those legs contracted, and those arms contracted. Just keep alternating back and forth. Just a few more seconds to go. Keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Nicely done. Go ahead and stand back up. Breathe a little bit. We got our star jumps coming up next. And start them up. Nice deep squat. Explode jumping up. Arms and legs coming out as far away from each other as you possibly can. Right back down to that nice deep squat. Keep those lungs open. Breathe as best you can. I know those legs and that entire body are going to be screaming at you as loudly as they can to stop, but keep pushing through it. You have less than 5 seconds left. Keep going. And let it relax. Good job. That is 2 rounds down. We just have 1 more of each to go. Starting back over with those side oblique raises. Just a few seconds till we start. And begin. Lift those hips up, roll over to the other side, another side hip raise, and roll back. Just keep alternating back and forth. Make sure those core muscles are nice and tight, those legs are nice and tight. Just focus on that form. Make sure it's nice and clean. Got just a few seconds left to go. Keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Good job. That was the last round of that one, which means we need to do 1 more round of our star jump. 5 seconds till we start. And start up. Nice deep squat. Explode jumping up as hard as you possibly can. Get those arms and legs out there as wide as possible. This is your last round of this. You get an extra break after this, so push as hard as you possibly can. Under 10 seconds left to go. 5 more seconds. Keep going. Push as hard as you can. And let it relax. Nicely done. Good job. You got a nice deserved rest again coming up here. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next group, which is going to be a push-up jack and a thigh slap jump. Now these are both really difficult exercises, but remember, the harder you push yourself, the closer you're going to be to that higher end of the calorie burn. We've got just a few seconds left till we start these guys up. We're going to be starting off with those push-up jacks. Go ahead and drop down on the ground and start up. As those arms come out to your sides, those feet come together in a regular push-up position, and then push those hands straight up in front of you. Those legs come out nice and wide. Just keep alternating back and forth. Try to keep that back nice and flat, hopping back and forth. Got 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. That's our first round down of that one. We've got thigh slap jumps coming up next. 5 more seconds of rest. And start it up. Keep those hands as parallel to the ground as you possibly can, and bring those knees up to your hands rather than trying to lean over and bringing your hands down to your knees. It's going to be very, very tempting. I'm even doing it a little bit, but try to keep those hands up as high as you can. Force those knees to come up as high as possible. Just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. That is 1 round down of both of those, which means we're starting on round number 2 of our push-up jacks. Go and drop down on the ground. And start them up. Nice quick motion. Those hands come up above your head as those feet come out. And those hands come back down straight out from your shoulders as those feet come back together. Just keep hopping back and forth as quick as you can. I know that body is really tired, but keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Good job. Go and stand back up. Get ready for our second round of thigh slap jumps. And start them up. Nice quick motion. Drive those knees as high as you can. Now if you need to, you can double hop like I'm doing here, so you give a little bit of a hop in between each time you bring those knees up nice and high. Otherwise, if you want it to be harder, every single time you drop those feet back down, those knees come right back up again. No double hop. Just a few more seconds to go. And let it relax. Good job. We got another round, our last round of those push-up jacks. 5 more seconds. And start them up. Those feet out there nice and wide. Hop those hands and feet back and forth. Try to make sure you're moving as quickly as you can, keeping everything nice and solid. You want to make sure you're pushing yourself as hard as possible. Remember, this is your last round of this one, so really, really push it. And let it relax. Good job. Go and stand back up. Our last round of thigh slap jumps are coming up next. You got 5 seconds until we start. And begin. Get those knees moving nice and quick. Push as hard as you can. This is your last round, so try to do just a single hop on this one. Try not to do a double hop. You want to try to push through it as long as you can, just moving as fast as possible. We're almost done. Just 5 more seconds to go. And let it relax. Good job. That was the end of that round. So go ahead and take your rest. We're getting ready for that next round, which is going to be burpees and high knees. All right, let's go ahead and get ready. We've got about 5 seconds left until we get started. And we're going to be starting off with those burpees. So let's go ahead and get ready. And start up, dropping down, kick those feet out, come back up to the top, and jump as hard as you possibly can. Now, if you want to make this harder, you can add a push-up at the bottom. If you want to make it easier, just take the jump out of the top and just come up to a full standing position. Whichever version you can hold the entire time. Got a few seconds left to go. Just keep pushing it. And let it relax. Good job. We've got high knees coming up next. 5 more seconds till we start. And begin. Drive those knees as fast as you can, moving as quickly as possible, feeling like you're sprinting. Get those knees up to at least hip height, higher if you can. Moving those feet as fast as you can. Stand up on the ball of your foot, trying to let that heel actually touch the ground. Just keep moving. You got 5 seconds left to go. Keep those lungs open. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go ahead and get ready for that next round of burpees. 5 more seconds till we start. And start up. Drop it down. Kick those feet out. Right back up again. Nice hard jump at the top. Remember, like I said, if you want to make it harder, do a push-up at the bottom. If you want to make it easier, take the jump out of the top. Keep pushing through it. 5 more seconds to go. No stopping yet. And let it relax. Good job. Get ready for that next round of high knees. 5 more seconds. And start them up. Drive those knees nice and quick. I know those legs are starting to get sluggish. They're going to want to start moving slower on you, but force them to keep moving nice and fast. Driving that knee up to at least hip height. Running those arms along with it. Move as quickly as you can. Stand up on the ball of your foot. 5 more seconds to go. Keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Good job. We only have 1 more round of each to go. Starting back over with those burpees. And start them up. Drop down. Kick those feet out. Back up. Jump as hard as you can. Keep moving through these as quickly as possible. Getting as hard of a jump at the top as you possibly can. This is your last round of this, so 100% effort the entire time. 5 more seconds. Keep pushing through it as hard as you can. And let it relax. Good job. You have 1 more round of those high knees. 5 more seconds till we start. And begin. Drive those knees as fast as you can. Get those knees up to hip height. Moving those feet as fast as possible. Just keep pushing through it. Keep those lungs open. Just keep pushing through the pain. I know those legs are screaming at you to stop, but just keep going. 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Nicely done. Take your extra rest. Nice big deep breath in. Try to recover as best you can. Let's get ready for our next round, which is going to be a crab jackknife crunch and a jumping lunge. These are our last 2 exercises for this HIIT routine. We're going to be moving on to strength next, so really push yourself through this one. We've got 5 seconds till we start up, starting off with that crab jackknife crunch. So go ahead and drop down on the ground with your hands and feet on the ground, facing up towards the ceiling. Get those feet moving. So every time you bring the leg up, that opposite arm from leg comes up. So left arm to right foot, right arm to left foot. Just alternating back and forth, keeping those hips up nice and high. Just 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and stand up. We've got jumping lunges next. 5 more seconds till we start. And begin. Nice quick motion, dropping down to a nice deep lunge every single time. Hopping those feet back and forth. Make sure you're alternating every single time without a pause. As soon as you drop down into that lunge, you're hopping right back in the opposite direction. Just keep it going. You got 5 seconds left to go. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go ahead and get ready for that second round of the crab jackknife. 5 more seconds. Go ahead and drop down on the ground. And start up. Left arm to right foot, right arm to left foot. Just alternate back and forth. Make sure you move nice and slow and under control. This is a really easy one to lose balance on. So take your time. Move only as quickly as you can control. Make sure you're getting a nice big full range of motion. Extending that leg out as straight as you can. Reaching up towards that toe. And let it relax. Go ahead and stand back up. We've got another round of those jumping lunges coming up. 5 more seconds till we start. And start them up. Nice deep lunge, jumping back and forth. Keep that torso straight up and down. Make sure those lungs are open. Make sure you're putting as much weight on that front leg as you are on that rear leg. Making sure it's nice and balanced front to back. 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Good job. Back down on the ground for that last round of crab jackknife crunch. And start it up. Alternating those hands and feet back and forth. Keep those hips up nice and high. Make sure you're reaching towards that toe. Keeping that leg as straight as you can at the top. 10 more seconds. Just keep those lungs open. Keep those arms and legs moving. 5 more. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and stand back up. We have our last round of the jumping lunges. And start up. Nice deep lunge. This is your last round of this HIIT routine, so make sure you're pushing through this as hard as you possibly can. Nice deep clean lunge. Make sure you're pushing as hard as you can, jumping those feet back and forth. 5 more seconds to go. And let it relax. Good job. All right, you get a nice long break. If you want to, go ahead and hit pause if you need a little bit more rest. Otherwise, we'll be starting back up in just under a minute. All right, we've got just about 20 seconds left, so let's go ahead and get ready for our strength routine. With this one, we're going to be doing 3 groups of 2 exercises, and we're only going to be doing 2 sets of 10 repetitions each. So since we're only doing 10 repetitions, make sure you're using a really nice heavy weight. We're going to be starting off with a chest press and a bent over wide row for our first 2 exercises. So let's go ahead and get ready for that chest press. Grab the weight you need. If you don't have a bench, you can always lay down flat on the ground or use something like a coffee table. Just improvise if you need to. Nice full range of motion on those arms. Press it straight up above that chest. Those elbows should be coming straight out in opposite directions from one another. Don't let those elbows start kicking down towards your rib cage. You want it pointing out really nice and wide. Just keep those lungs open. Keep those core muscles contracted. Make sure that lower back stays flat on that mat. Don't let that chest tilt. That's number 8 right there. Just 2 more repetitions to go. Nice full range of motions. Your last one. And let it relax. Go and drop those dumbbells down. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next exercise, which is going to be a bent over wide row. So select the amount of weight you need for that. Grab those dumbbells again. Nice flat back. You're going to lean over flat, parallel to the ground, or as close to it as you can get. Those elbows come up and out to the side, so trying to mimic that chest press as much as you can. Drawing that hand up as high as possible, but not pulling it into your chest. You want to actually try to keep those hands out underneath that elbow as much as possible. Again, nice flat back, slight bend in that knee if you need to. Just a couple more repetitions. And let it relax. Go ahead and set those dumbbells back up. Go ahead and select that weight you need for that chest press. We're switching back to that nice and quick. No rest in between. Basically just as much rest as you get from switching from one weight to the next. Go ahead and lay back down on that bench again if you have one handy. And start up. Arms start straight above that shoulder joint. Nice and slow, kick those elbows out to the side as low as you can comfortably go on that shoulder, then press it right back up again. Just keep those lungs open. Again, try to keep that lower back flat against that mat. Try not to let that chest tilt up. Make sure you're keeping it under control as far as speed goes. So you want to drop those dumbbells down at the same speed as you press them back up. A lot of times people have a tendency to drop them down slowly and then press them up really, really quick where they're actually doing most of the effort. You want to have the same speed in both, nice and slow and under control. Just one more repetition. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and set those up. Let's go ahead and do our last round of the bent over wide row. So go ahead and select your weight for that one. Go ahead and grab those weights and let's get ready. Nice flat back. Remember, bend over straight from those hips. Slight bend in your knees. Slowly draw those elbows up and out to the side, trying to keep that wrist right underneath that elbow. Try not to let it come in towards that chest too much. Again, main thing you want to focus on though is keeping a nice flat back when you're in this position. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Make sure you're pulling up as slowly as you're letting those dumbbells back down. Don't just let those dumbbells drop. Just one more repetition. And let it relax. Good job. Go and set those dumbbells up. That was the last one of those exercises for that group. So we're moving on to our second group, which is going to consist of an Arnold press and a dumbbell pullover. So you can do that Arnold press either seated or standing, and that pullover laying flat down either on a bench or flat down on the ground. So let's go ahead and start off first with our Arnold press. So go ahead and grab your weights for this. This is similar to a shoulder press, but a little bit harder because it focuses more on the front of that shoulder. So you want to make sure you use a little bit less weight if you've never done this before. So nice and slow, press straight up over your head, slowly back down. You want to keep those elbows pulled in really nice and close, so you're actually not letting those elbows go outside of shoulder width. This is a little bit different form than a lot of people use for an Arnold press. All it does is forces you to focus a little bit more on the front of that deltoid, the front of that shoulder. Now, as you're doing this, you can see my hands rotate. You start with your palms facing towards your chest, and then as you press up, you slowly rotate those hands facing away from you, a full 180-degree turn. Now, you want to make sure that you have a nice even rotation through the entire range of motion. You don't want to do all that rotation just at the very, very top of that range of motion. So make sure you have a full rotation through the entire thing. And go ahead and let it relax. Drop those dumbbells down. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next exercise, which is going to be a dumbbell pullover. Now you can do this either laying flat down on a bench or flat down on the ground, whichever is more comfortable, or whichever one you have access to, and you can do this with 1 or 2 dumbbells, depending on what's more comfortable to you. So make sure you have those arms starting straight up above that chest, slowly drop them over top of your head, and then right back up again. Make sure that you are using a light enough amount of weight that you can get a full range of motion on this, and you can keep those arms almost completely straight. You want to have just a tiny bit of a bend in that elbow. Now make sure you're keeping those lungs open and you're not letting that chest arch too much. As you can see, when my hands go all the way over top of my head, you see my back lift up just a little bit. You want to try to minimize that as much as possible by contracting those abs and pressing that lower back flat against that mat. By lifting up that chest, all you're doing is creating an artificial amount of range of motion. You're not actually doing any extra work for those lats, so make sure you keep that back flat on that mat or flat on that ground. Just one more repetition to go. And let those dumbbells drop. Go ahead and let it relax. Let's get ready to start back over into that next round and last round of the Arnold press. And go ahead and grab those weights. Either sit down or stand up. Make sure that back stays nice and flat. Contract those abs. Those arms come up to that chest. Palms facing in towards you. Slowly press up as you rotate that hand. Then slowly back down into that start position. Again, make sure that back stays completely flat. You're going to have a tendency, you want to lean your chest back to make your chest have to help a little bit, but you want to keep that chest straight up and down so you're putting all of that effort just on those shoulders. Just keep that motion going. Nice, clean form. Same pace up as back down, making sure you're rotating the same amount through the entire range of motion, not just the top. Just a couple more repetitions. Keep it nice and clean, under control. Keep that chest forward. Last one. And let it relax. Nicely done. Let's go and drop those weights down. We've got one more round of those dumbbell pullovers. So once you've selected your weight, go ahead and grab those dumbbells. Sit down on that bench and lay out flat or lay down on the ground. Arms start straight above that chest. Elbows slightly bent. Drop those arms out over your head. Remember, keep those core muscles nice and contracted, pressing that lower back flat against that mat as much as you can. Trying to keep that chest as stationary as possible, trying to let it tilt. Now make sure you check your breathing. You never want to hold your breath. You want to either be inhaling or exhaling. Now if you want to time it with your actual repetitions, it's going to be exhales, those dumbbells come back over your chest. Inhales, they fall over your head. Just make sure that you have a nice clean form. You're not letting your dumbbells go out of control. You always have control over them. Never letting those hands stretch over your head further than that shoulder will allow comfortably. Just a couple more repetitions to go. Nice clean form. Keep it under control. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and drop those dumbbells back. That means that is our last repetition of that exercise, the last one of that group, which means we're moving on to our next group, which is going to be bicep curls and an overhead tricep extension. Now both of these can either be done seated or standing, so it's up to you as which way you do it. Just make sure you keep that back nice and flat. We're going to start off with those bicep curls. So select the amount of weight you want to be using for that. Again, either seated or standing. You just want to make sure that upper arm stays perpendicular to the ground. Go ahead and start that curl motion, bending only at that elbow, bringing that hand up towards that shoulder as tight as you can without letting that elbow pull forward. Now, most people, when they do a curl, they curl it up to their shoulder really nice and tight, and their elbow kicks forward, so their forearm is straight up and down from the ground. But you want to keep those elbows tucked back to your rib cage, so that upper arm, from there where that bicep and tricep actually is, you want that part of your arm perpendicular to the ground, straight up and down, so that elbow always stays directly underneath that shoulder. It forces you to focus on that bicep much, much more. Never lets that bicep relax like you do when you let those elbows kick forward. And there's your last one right here. And let it relax. Go ahead and drop those dumbbells back off. Go ahead and select that weight we're using for that tricep extension. It's going to be an overhead tricep extension. Do just one arm at a time, so just grab one dumbbell. That hand comes straight up over top of your head, slight bend in that elbow, then drop that hand back down behind your head, down towards kind of in between those shoulder blades, and then press that hand straight back up again, only moving from that elbow. So that upper arm stays perfectly straight up and down. This time that elbow needs to be directly above that shoulder joint. Try to make sure that you're not squeezing that arm up next to your ear. You're not hunching that shoulder or shrugging that shoulder. You want to let that shoulder stay completely relaxed down, only moving from that elbow, contracting that tricep, really focusing on getting a tight squeeze on the back of that arm. And let that one relax. We're going to switch sides. Same exact exercise, just in the opposite arm. The other one comes up. Again, bending only at that elbow. That upper arm stays perfectly straight up and down. Like I said, try to keep that elbow directly above that shoulder the entire time. Try to make that upper arm move as little as possible. Also, you want to be focusing on keeping that back really nice and straight. Again, you're going to want to have a tendency to kind of lean back with this one. Make sure your chest stays straight up and down. No tilting up towards the ceiling. Keep focusing on that form. Nice, clean range of motion. Get that dumbbell down as low as you can control. If you feel like you're limiting your range of motion, your elbow stopping at a 90-degree angle, then you're using a little bit too much weight. So make sure you drop for the next round of repetitions. Just go ahead and drop that dumbbell back on that rack. Make sure you select the amount of weight you need for that bicep curl. Grab both those dumbbells again. Sit down on that bench. Remember, try to really focus on keeping that upper arm straight up and down, elbow directly underneath that shoulder the entire time. Tight squeeze, pulling that hand up towards that shoulder as tightly as you possibly can without letting those elbows start drifting forward. Nice flat back, kind of pressing that chest out, making sure that back stays completely flat and you're not tilting back at all. We're almost done, just 2 more repetitions. Make sure you're keeping them nice and clean. Don't let those elbows pull forward. I know those arms are getting tired. Let it relax. Go ahead and drop those dumbbells down. Got 1 more round of those tricep extensions. And let's start up 1 arm at a time. Remember, straight above your head. Dropping that hand down back behind you as much as is comfortable. Keep that elbow directly above that shoulder joint. Nice smooth motion, full extension on that arm. Try not to completely lock that elbow out. You want to keep just a tiny bit of a bend in that elbow so that tricep always stays a little bit engaged. Then drop that hand right back down again. Watch that chest. Make sure you're staying straight up and down. You're not leaning back or tilting that chest up too high. Almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go and switch over the other hand. Get that opposite arm straight up and down. Bend only at that elbow. Nice full range of motion. Trying to get that hand down as low as you can. Now, because you're doing this one arm at a time, try your best to make sure that you're doing an even range of motion on the left and the right. A lot of people have a very, very big strength difference from left to right arms, and a lot of people want to use two different weights, but never ever use two different weights. Only use the amount of weight that the weakest arm can control. So you always want to balance off of that weak arm. Just keep it going. We're almost done. It's your last one. And let it relax. Nicely done. Go ahead and drop that dumbbell off. That is the end of that group, which means we are done with our strength portion of this routine. Go ahead and hit pause if you need a little extra rest. Otherwise, we'll be starting right back into our next portion in just a little under a minute. Alright everybody, we've got just about 20 seconds left until we start back into our next portion, which is going to be a kickboxing routine. We've got 6 groups of kickboxing combos to go through, and we've got 10 repetitions on each side for each one of those combinations. So we're going to go through 2 slow ones first to get you used to the motion, and then we're going to do 10 fast repetitions as quickly as you can before we switch sides. So let's go ahead and get started with our first one. It's going to be 2 jabs and 2 crosses. So let's go ahead and start with our 2 slow ones first. Jab, jab. Cross, cross. One more slow. And 10 fast as you possibly can. Push through it as hard as possible. You want to make sure you keep all those muscles through your entire body nice and tensed. You want to be working 100% effort the entire time. Now make sure every single time you throw that punch, you don't let that arm go to a complete extension. You want to have just a little bit of a bend in that elbow. And you want to make sure that you're pulling that arm back as quickly as possible as well. Let's go ahead and do 2 slow motion on the other side. And 10 fast. Get them going. Now make sure you move those arms as quickly as you possibly can, keeping all those muscles nice and contracted through your entire body. Remember, the focus of this is to burn as many calories as possible. So don't worry about trying to save anything to get the rest of this routine done. You want to try to push yourself as hard as you possibly can with every single repetition. So that was the end of that round, which means we're moving on to our next group, which is going to be 2 knees, a jab, and a cross. So we're starting our slow ones first. And again, 2 knees, a jab, and a cross. All right, 10 fast. Now remember, you're pushing yourself as hard as you possibly can, 100% effort in each one of those punches, each one of those knees. When you drive that knee up, make sure you're contracting those abdominal muscles, kind of crunching those shoulders down, really, really swinging those arms, contracting that bicep and tricep, pushing that arm out, and pulling it back in nice and fast. Just keep it going. We're almost done. Just 2 more repetitions to go. And let it relax. Go ahead and switch over to the other side. Same exact thing on the other side. So 2 slow first. 2 knees, jab, and a cross. One more time slow. 2 knees, a jab, and a cross. All right, 10 fast. As hard as you possibly can. Don't leave anything behind. Keep it going. That is halfway right there. You got 5 more to go. 2 more. Your last one. And let it relax. Nicely done. That is the last one of those. We'll start over to a new one, which this one we're going to be doing 2 uppercuts and 2 hooks. Again, nice slow. Uppercut, uppercut, hook, hook. Again, slow. Uppercut, uppercut, hook, hook. So 10 fast, move it as quick as you can. Really get a good rotation with that uppercut. These kickboxing motions don't just use your arms, they don't just use your legs, they use every single muscle in your body, everything from your neck all the way down into your ankles and your feet. So make sure that you are pushing 100% with this, and it'll not only tone you up, but burn tons of calories while you're doing it. One more, and let it relax. Go ahead and switch sides again. 2 slow, uppercut, uppercut, hook, hook. One more slow, uppercut, uppercut, hook, hook, and start them 10 fast. That's halfway done right there. Keep them going. Nice quick motion. Really, really rotate those shoulders as you swing those arms. Swing as much weight, as much power into it as you can. And let it relax. Good job. That was the end of that round. So let's go ahead and move on to our next group. With this one, we're going to be doing a shin block, a knee, 2 jabs, and an uppercut. We're getting a little bit longer. So shin block, knee, 2 jabs, and an uppercut. One more time slow. Shin block, knee, 2 jabs, and an uppercut. So 10 fast. Make sure you're pushing into each one of these motions just like your life depended on it. You want 100% effort. You want to make sure those muscles are nice and sore, nice and tired by the time you're done with this. You don't want to leave anything behind. You don't want to leave anything for that next routine, that next exercise. You want to use it all up right here. And there's our last one right here. And let it relax. Let's go and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. A shin block, a knee, jab, jab, and uppercut. Shin block, knee, jab, jab, and uppercut. All right, let's go and do those 10 fast. Push into it 100%. Again, never leave anything behind. You want to be completely dead by the time you're done with these repetitions. That is halfway right there. Keep pushing through it, 100% effort. Make sure all those muscles are nice and tight and never let them relax. Keep going. One more. And let it relax. Good job. That was the end of that round, which means we're moving on to our next group. There's going to be 2 uppercuts, a jab, cross, jab, knee. So 2 uppercuts, a jab, cross, jab, and knee. One more time slow, uppercut, uppercut, jab, cross, jab, knee. All right, 10 fast, push through it. And that is halfway right there. Keep pushing through it, 100% effort, each one of those punches, each one of those knees. Make sure you're pushing yourself as hard as you can. Make sure every single one of those muscles is just burning like crazy by the time you're done. And just one more. And let it relax. Switch over to the other side. Slow motion, 2 uppercuts. Jab, cross, jab, and knee. One more time slow. 2 uppercuts. Jab, cross, jab, and knee. All right, start into it nice and fast, 100% effort. Really burn those muscles out. And that's halfway right there. Keep pushing through it. Make sure all those muscles are nice and tense. Make sure you're pushing those arms and legs 100% every single swing and kick. Keep pushing through it. 100% effort. Don't leave anything behind. We're almost done. Just a couple more repetitions to go. Last one. And let it relax. Nicely done. That is the end of that round. We only have one more round to go. This combination is going to be a jab cross twice, 2 knees, and a hook. So let's do it 2 times slow. Let's go ahead and get ready. And slow. Jab, cross, knee, knee, and a hook. One more time slow. Jab, cross, knee, knee, and hook. 10 times fast. Remember, there's your last one. 100% effort. Nice. Keep going. Push it as hard as you possibly can. 100% effort, every single punch, every single kick. Make sure all those muscles are nice and tensed. Burn as many calories as you possibly can. Good job, guys. That is halfway right there. Just keep it going. Keep pushing through it. No pausing. Make sure you're moving those arms and legs as fast as you can. 100% effort. Just a few more. Last one. And let it relax. Good job. Switch sides. We're going to do the same exact thing over to the other side. 2 slow repetitions. One more slow. Jab, cross, knee, knee, and a hook. This is our last one, so make sure you're pushing it as hard as you can. 100% effort. Start them up. Move as quick as possible. Make sure all those muscles are dead by the time you're done with this. Keep pushing through it. Make sure you don't stop. Try to make sure everything's going as fast as you can while still keeping control. That's 5 down. You got 5 more to go. Keep pushing through it. You're over halfway. Just keep those arms and legs moving as fast as you can. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Burn as many calories as possible. This is your last one. And let it relax. Nicely done. Keep jogging in place. Active rest. And go ahead and let it relax. This is your water break. Hit pause if you need a little bit more rest. Otherwise, we're going to start into our last section of exercise in about a minute. All right, everybody, we've got about 20 seconds left until we start into this last portion of our routine. We have a core and cardio routine combination, which means we're going to be doing 45 seconds of a core exercise, 15 seconds of rest, then 45 seconds of a cardio exercise, and then another 15 seconds of rest before we start back in. Now let's go ahead and get started with our core exercise first, which is going to be a jackknife crunch. So go ahead and lay flat down on your back. If you have a mat handy, go ahead and grab that. Nice and slow, crunch up towards those toes. Those hands go over top of your head when you drop those legs down towards the ground. Make sure you have those arms and legs hovering just a little bit off the ground so those abdominal muscles stay contracted the entire time. Very, very slowly crunch up towards the top. Bring those legs up, fully extended, straight, crunching up towards those toes, getting those shoulder blades up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Just keep those repetitions going over and over and over again. We've got under 20 seconds left. Almost done, just 5 more seconds to go. I know those abs are burning, but keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Go ahead and kick that mat out of the way. Go ahead and stand up. We got about 10 more seconds of rest before we start into our cardio portion, and that's going to be a triple jack. Got 5 more seconds till we start. And start up. Nice quick motion with those arms is a very, very similar motion to just a traditional jumping jack. The only difference is when those feet come out, you're going to pause at the middle point of that jumping jack. So those hands are going to be parallel to the ground. When those feet come back together, you're going to have those hands over your head. Then come back down again. When those feet come out, those hands are parallel to the ground. And that last time when those feet come together, those arms are down by your sides. Just keep it going through. Nice, even pace. This takes a little bit of concentration to get this done properly, especially if you're used to doing just a traditional jumping jack a lot, because your body's going to want to go back to that normal pace of a traditional jumping jack. So just think about it. Got just a few seconds left to go. Just keep pushing through it. Keep everything nice and rigid. Just 3 seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and grab that mat, pull it back in place. We're going through our next portion of our core exercise. We're going to be doing a side hip raise on the left side only to begin. So 5 seconds to start. And start it up. Get those hips up there nice and high. If you want the harder version, like I'm doing here, you can stack those feet. If you want to make it a little bit easier, bend those knees and go up off of those knees rather than up off of those feet. Just keep that motion going. We're doing the whole 45 seconds on just one side. So if those obliques start to give out on you a little bit, feel free to drop down to that easier version. Or if you're already doing the easier version, take a pause, break for just a few seconds, and then go right back into the full version or the half version, whichever you can control the most. Got 15 seconds left. Just keep pushing through it. I know those muscles are burning on you. I know that oblique on the bottom side and those legs are really tired, but keep pushing through it. 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Good job. All right, kick that mat out of the way. Go and stand back up. We're going to go and get ready for our next round of cardio, which is going to be a front jack this time. 5 more seconds. And start up. Hands come straight up in front of your body, straight back down to those thighs. Make sure you're keeping those hands just about shoulder width apart. Arms almost completely straight. You can have a little tiny bit of a bend in your arm and that elbow, but try to keep it as straight as possible, making sure all those muscles through your arms and legs are nice and rigid, as well as those core muscles. Just keep pushing through it. Nice quick pace. You don't want to do this just kind of nice and easy. You want to actually move pretty quickly with this. You got 20 seconds left to go. Almost done. Just 5 seconds left. Keep going. And let it relax. Go ahead and grab that mat again. Go ahead and get ready for our next round of core exercises, which is going to be the same thing we did last time, a side hip raise, but this time on the right side rather than the left. So kick those feet off to the opposite side. Again, stack them for the hardest version. And start up. Lift those hips up really nice and high, squeezing that shoulder down towards that hip. Get a nice tight squeeze on that bottom oblique from the base of your rib cage to the crest of your hip. You should also feel it a little bit to the outside of that thigh from having to push up onto your leg. Now again, if you want to make it a little bit easier, you can go ahead and bend those knees back and just come up onto that knee rather than coming up all the way onto those feet. Just keep that motion going. Just 20 seconds left. Keep those lungs open, keep those core muscles nice and tight. Five more seconds to go. Keep pushing through it. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and kick that mat out of the way. Go ahead and stand back up for our next jumping jack. With this one, we're going to be doing a fly jack, so those arms in front of your body. 5 more seconds. And start up. Those hands are straight in front of your body, coming straight out from that chest, shoulder width apart with those feet together. And then when you hop those feet apart, those arms will come straight out to your sides, actually stretching those hands back behind the line of your chest just a little bit. So they're actually back behind you just a tiny bit. Then you slap them back together really nice and quick as you pull those feet back together. Now make sure you're keeping those arms and legs nice and rigid, those core muscles contracted the entire time, moving as quickly as you can without letting those arms and legs go out of control. Now you've got under 20 seconds left to go. Make sure you're keeping those lungs open, moving as quickly as you can. Five more seconds to go. Keep those arms going a little bit longer. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and grab that mat again. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next core exercise, which is going to be a back bow. So go ahead and lay down flat on your stomach. Those arms and legs extended out straight in opposite directions. And start up. Pull those arms and legs up off the ground. Get them up nice and high. Tight squeeze on that lower back as well as those glutes and that hamstring. But make sure you don't bend those elbows or those knees. Making sure that arm and leg stay completely straight the entire time. Focusing on getting those thighs up off the ground as high as possible and that chest up off the ground as high as possible. Make sure you're still looking down towards the ground to protect that neck. You don't want to look up towards the wall in front of you. And of course, just like with all the rest of our exercises, don't hold your breath. Make sure you're either breathing in or breathing out the entire time. If you want to time your breathing on this one, it's going to be exhale on the way up, inhale on the way back down. Just 10 more seconds to go. Almost done, just a few seconds left. Keep it going, nice tight squeeze. And let it relax, good job. Go ahead and stand back up, kick that mat out of the way. We're getting ready for our next cardio portion, which is going to be a lunge jack. 5 more seconds. And start up. Stepping out into a regular lunge position, those hands are going to come down and clap underneath that leg. And then as you stand back up, those arms come straight back over top of your head. So getting just a little extra motion through your arms, as well as doing that lunge, just to get a little extra cardio out of it, make your body have to pump some more blood around, burn a few more calories. Now, even though this is a little bit of a different form of a lunge, you always want to make sure you're keeping that form nice and clean with a traditional lunge. So make sure that your weight is evenly dispersed between your front and your rear leg, and you're taking a really nice deep step as you step out. The further you step, the harder it's going to be on those muscles, and the more muscle development and muscle tone you're going to get out of it. So really take your time to take a nice long step. We're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and grab that mat again. We're going back to another core exercise. This time we're going to be doing a crisscross crunch. So laying flat on your back, hands back behind your head, one leg kicked out straight, the other leg pulled up to a 90 degrees so that knee's directly above that hip. And start up. Crunching back and forth, left elbow to right knee, right elbow to left knee, just alternating back and forth, making sure you're getting a really nice tight squeeze on those abdominal muscles, pulling those shoulders forward towards those hips, at the same time as contracting those transverse obliques, those rotational obliques, crunching yourself across diagonally on each side. So make sure you get a really, really good tight squeeze all the way through those core muscles, and making sure that those legs don't come in past that hip joint. To make it harder, don't let that knee come in past that hip joint. If you want to make it a little bit easier, go ahead and let that leg drift in a little bit. By keeping that leg out away from you, it's forcing those muscles through those abdominal muscles and those hip flexors to have to work a lot harder. You've got just a few seconds left. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and kick that mat out of the way. We've got another round of cardio coming up. This time we're going to be doing a high knee jack. Nice quick motion, bring those hands underneath your knee every single time you bring a knee up. And start up. Nice quick motion, hands start above your head. Draw one leg up as your hands come down underneath that leg. Then drop that foot back down as those hands come back up over your head. Then bring that other leg up as your hands come back down again. Just alternating back and forth, almost kind of a skipping motion with those feet. Make sure you're getting a really nice big full range of motion on those arms, keeping those legs and arms nice and rigid, as well as contracting all of those core muscles. Make sure you're moving as quickly as you can while still keeping control. Make sure everything's nice and rigid. Got under 15 seconds left to go. Just keep those arms and legs moving. Just 5 seconds left. Keep those arms and legs moving. Nice quick motion. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and grab that mat. We've got another core exercise coming up. This is actually our last core exercise. This is going to be a Russian twist. So sitting on that tailbone, rotating left to right, keeping a nice flat back, and start up. So you want to lean back as far as you possibly can. Now, if you want to make this a lot harder, you can do what I'm doing here and you actually keep those feet hovering off the ground. Makes it a lot more difficult for those core muscles and those leg muscles to control. If you want it to be a little bit easier, go ahead and let those heels touch down. Gives you a little bit more control over that motion. However, the main thing you want to focus on is keeping a perfectly flat back and rotating left to right as far as you possibly can. The further you lean back, the more those transverse obliques, those rotational obliques have to work. And the further forward you lean, the less those abdominal muscles have to work. So make sure you're picking the version that is not only a combination of the one you can control the best, but also the one that's also giving you the most challenge. So we've got just a few more seconds to go. And let it relax. Good job. Go ahead and kick that mat out of the way. That was our last core exercise, which means we have one more cardio exercise to go, which is going to be just a regular traditional jumping jack. Got 5 seconds until we start. And start up. Nice quick motion. Keep those arms and legs completely rigid. Make sure they're completely under control the entire time. Moving as quickly as you can while still being under control. Keeping all those core muscles nice and tight as well. Keep those lungs open. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Moving those feet in and out as quickly as you can. Kind of staying up on the ball of your foot to make those calves have to work the most as well. Just 20 more seconds to go. Keep that motion nice and smooth under control. Keep that pace nice and even the entire time. Just 5 more seconds to go. Keep that motion going. And let it relax. Good job. That was the end of that cardio, which means the only thing we have left to do is a cool down and stretch. Now with this, we're going to be going through 12 different exercises and we're going to be holding each position for about 12 seconds each. So let's go ahead and get ready to start into this cool down. And our first exercise is going to be a boxer shuffle. So get those feet moving, stay up on the ball of your foot. We don't want that heart rate to drop quite yet, so we're just going to move those feet around a little bit, try to keep it up a little bit higher while that heart rate very slowly drops back down. So just a little bit longer. We're switching on to walk in place next. Just nice and slow, move those feet back and forth. Basically just not wanting to completely stop yet. Keep that blood pumping around those legs, trying to get that heart rate to drop really nice and slow. And we're going to be switching off to a standing hamstring stretch next. So we're starting with your left leg locked out straight, your right leg over top, stretching down towards that toe. So you should be feeling this only in that left leg, maybe a little tiny bit in the right, but primarily only in that left side. We're going to switch sides here in just a second. And switch those feet, so that left leg's going to come over top of your right leg's going to be nice and straight. So again, feeling it in your right leg this time through that hamstring, the back of that thigh, possibly up into your glute, maybe even into your calf as well and behind that knee. And go ahead and switch into a quad stretch, so standing up, one foot comes back, pulling that heel to your butt, pull that knee back behind you while still keeping that chest straight up and down. Now, if you need a little extra balance support, then you can always put your hand up against a wall or on the back of a chair, but try to use it as little as you can. Go ahead and switch sides. That opposite leg comes up, squeezing that heel to your butt, pulling that knee back behind you, chest straight up and down, should feel a stretch to the front of that thigh, maybe even a little bit into the front of that hip. And go ahead and let that relax. Inside thigh and arm stretch. So inside thigh stretch is going to be one leg out, the other leg kicked off to the side, bent, leaning back towards that straight leg. You should feel it on the inside of that thigh of that straight leg, then pulling that same arm across your body to stretch across that shoulder blade. Go ahead and switch sides, same exact thing. So on that opposite leg and opposite arm, stretching that hip down towards that straight leg, trying to push it down towards the ground. So you should feel that stretch to that inside thigh, then pulling that arm across your chest. Go ahead and stand up, one hand on the wall, fingers facing back behind you, stretching away from that hand. If you're feeling it more in your bicep than you are your chest, and then roll that hand so that inside of that elbow is pointing up towards the ceiling. You should feel it more in your chest. And go ahead and switch sides. Again, fingers facing back behind you, hand on that wall, rotate that hand away, or rotate those shoulders away from that hand. 5 more seconds. And let it relax. Go ahead and switch off to a calf stretch, so down in a push-up position, one foot over top of the other, really stretching that heel down towards that floor as much as you can, pushing back towards those feet with your hands, so kind of pushing into those hands. So go ahead and switch sides. That opposite foot comes down, the opposite leg goes over top, pressing that heel down into the ground. It's 5 more seconds. And go ahead and sit down. We're going to do a seated hamstring stretch. One leg kicked out nice and straight, the other one tucked in nice and close as is comfortable. Then you're going to reach down towards that foot with that same arm as leg that's straight. That other arm's come up and out to the side, stretching through that torso. So you should feel this on your hamstring and that torso. Go ahead and switch sides. That opposite leg goes out, tuck that opposite leg in. Hand comes up over your head, stretch that torso, stretch that hamstring. 5 more seconds. And switch it to a supine torso rotation, so laying flat on your back. You're going to rock those legs off to the side. If you want a little bit more stretch, extend one leg, that bottom leg out straight, that top leg over top to kind of let it roll over a little bit more. Just make sure those shoulders stay flat against the ground. Go ahead and switch sides. Lay that knee over to the other side. Again, make sure those shoulders are flat against the ground the entire time. This is more about how far you can roll those hips while still keeping your shoulders on the ground. And go ahead and switch to a deep glute stretch. One leg comes up over top of the other. You're going to grab behind that thigh, squeeze it in as close as comfortable. Now, whichever leg is over top, that's the one you should be feeling it in. You should be feeling it deep into that hip socket, that butt muscle of that leg over top. And go ahead and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. So again, whichever leg is over top, that's the one you're going to be feeling the stretch in, deep down inside that glute of that leg. And let it relax. Go ahead and roll over onto your stomach. We're going to do a cobra stretch next. Hands down by the base of your rib cage. Arch up as high as is comfortable. You might not be able to completely lock those elbows out, but that's your end goal. Trying to stretch that chest back as much as possible. And sit back into a child's pose is our last one. Stretching those hands out away from you. Just 5 more seconds. Breathing normally. And let it relax. Good job. That was our last stretch of the routine, our last exercise, which means this workout is complete. Good job.